What's going on, guys? My name is Hunter Waldrop. I'm currently residing in Milledgeville, Georgia. This is my co-host Jansen.
What's going on, guys? My name is Jansen Jaspers, and I'm from the Woodlands, Texas. And this is the Going for Two podcast, where we are going to be covering college football from the next generation's perspective.
Yes, this is probably gonna be mainly talked about, through Power Five conferences or SEC, ACC, Big Ten, Big 12, Pac-12. But we will, throw in some UTSA Roadrunners and UH Cougars and Cincinnati and Group of Five schools like that. Maybe even dive into some FCS like North Dakota State, South Dakota State,
Sam
here and
Houston
there. But
State,
this will, yeah,
some schools. Yeah,
absolutely. Soon to be in the Conference USA,
absolutely.
Sam Houston
They're
State.
moving
But
their way up.
yeah, that's right. James
Yeah,
Madison joining the Sun Belt this year from FCS.
that's
But
big.
yeah, this is going to be mainly a, Power Five college football podcast. What's going on with the big dogs. But yeah, we're this just dream of ours, and we're looking forward to doing it. And so, with all that being said, we'll get right into it. I'll just go ahead and ask you the first question, Jansen. What are the three most exciting things you are looking forward to this college football season?
My three things that I'm looking forward to this college football season. I got number one on my list is seeing Quinn Ewers in his college debut at the University of Texas. There's been a lot of chatter of that he's going to be a bust since they got Arch coming in, and then there's other people saying that he's going to bring Texas back. But let's be honest here, nobody's going to bring Texas back because they'll never be back. But
Wow, bold take.
that is a bold take. But I stand by it. I don't think Texas. Well, once they join the SEC, I think the recruiting will get a little bit better and they'll get some more big names in there. But
Well, I might have to
I don't know.
disagree with you on that one. I think it might get a little tougher for them. They're competing with definitely a bigger, and I think there will be some crackdown of the NIL, but maybe
Yeah,
not. We'll see.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
But number two on my list, I have Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams reuniting at USC. I think that they have a lot of good potential there. I think they could be really good. And I also think that they could be an absolute bust. But with what I saw last year at Oklahoma with Lincoln and Caleb Williams, it looks to me like they could be a top four team at the end of the year. So another thing
that's
that
good.
I'm excited for is Jackson Dart joining Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. I think that is a great matchup between the two of them. I think Lane is going to use him just like he used Matt Corral, and I think they're going to be a very good team in the SEC. I think they're a dark horse this year for sure.
That's good. I like that. I like that a lot.
What about you, buddy?
Yeah. So the first thing is that Alabama defense. I know we talked about it before, but I think they're going to give that Georgia defense last year a run for their money. I don't know if they'll be quite as good, but they're going to be pretty dang close to it.
Yeah,
I mean, Will Anderson is the best player in America, robbed of a Heisman Trophy ceremony appearance last year. I think he could be. I couldn't see why he wouldn't win it this year. Bold take.
that is a
They
bold
got
take, but
Jordan
I'm standing right
Battle.
there with you.
Yeah, Jordan Battle coming off the other edge. I mean, that is just gross. They got Eli Ricks transferring from LSU, and there's just so much more experience. And oh yeah, don't forget about the greatest name in all of college football, Kool Aid McKinstry on the other side. So yeah, that Bama defense is gonna be legit, and I'm really excited to see, you know, how it is because a lot of people were shocked. This is something I've looked at, but a lot of people were shocked when Nick Saban said, you know, it was a rebuilding year, but people don't understand if you weren't around like the Southeast, I mean, maybe from a global standpoint, you're a little shocked, but like I think me and you understand it really was a rebuilding year for Alabama. That was
Yeah,
the worst team Nick Saban's had probably since he's gotten there, and he made it all the way to the national championship.
I
So,
agree.
and
I
this is
agree,
one of the
and that's
youngest teams he's had. But like, it wasn't a shock to me because like I really thought of it the same way. So it's gonna be
yeah.
pretty scary what they end up doing this year. The next thing I'm ready to see Mario Cristobal with the Miami Hurricanes. They are going to be good, and I think throughout time they're going to just keep getting better, and they might turn back into the 1990s, early 2000s Miami team that we weren't around for, but we've
Yeah.
heard a lot of good things about, and he's a really good recruiter, and nobody can take that away from him for sure. And I think he's going to develop a lot of good talent, and Tyler Van Dyke, I mean, he was a top five QB at the end of the season last year, or at least like he was playing like one. and they were a pretty good team. And I think, that change of leadership, they made the right choice, and I'm really excited to see where he's going to take this team. I mean, he's from Miami, so like he understands. He's wore the U on his helmet, so I'm really excited to see where he takes that program, especially year one, because I think they got a chance of making the ACC championship game. And
Absolutely.
depending on how good Clemson is, I mean, they might be able to beat them. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoff, but I definitely wouldn't rule out a New Year's Six bowl appearance for them.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is I want to see how this UGA team is this year, coming off losing 15, 16 players in the draft, setting the record for most players ever drafted. And they're going to have to be very offensive reliant. Yes, they got pieces like Nolan Smith and Keely Ringo coming back on defense, but I mean, that's what won them the national championship last year. And there's no hiding that
Absolutely.
at all. And a lot of people are saying, this is going to be the best team that Georgia's had, or best offense Georgia's had in a while. And I'm just really interested to see what a offensive reliant Georgia team looks like. And I want to see how they perform because, I mean, they haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver in a long time. I don't even know if A.J. Green was a 1,000-yard receiver in like 2008, 2009. So, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how they rebuild and how they go about things, but they're not going anywhere. They're not going to be like the 2019 LSU team and fall off the face of the planet. They're going to be good. I mean, just offense isn't Kirby Smart's game, and we're going to see how it goes. But I'm just really interested to see how that goes.
Me too. Because I think that losing Dan Lanning was huge, but I mean, because with Kirby Smart's a defensive guy, so I mean, he's always going to have a good defense. But when they're saying that Georgia's going to have a better offense this year than they did, like they're going to have a better offense this year than defense, is like mind blowing because that's just something that is so unexpected from Kirby Smart.
Yeah, very much so. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, while we're on the topic of SEC, I mean, that's what we're going to dive into today. That's going to be the main discussion is, we're going to go over these SEC teams and records and predictions. And, we're going to see who we have going to Atlanta facing each other, a little upset here and there. And, see if anybody's going to be, see if somebody's going to make the playoff, 2 teams, maybe 3. Don't rule it out of discussion now.
You want to start with the East?
Yeah, we'll start with the East.
Sounds good. All right. So in the East, we're going to go bottom to top. So in the East, in 7th place, I have finishing dead last, Vanderbilt, with a 3-9 record. They're going to lose to Hawaii. They're going to lose to Wake Forest. They're going to lose to Bama. They're going to lose to Ole Miss. They're going to lose to Georgia. They're going to lose to South Carolina, Kentucky, Florida, and Tennessee. See, I think Vanderbilt isn't really that big of a football school, and they've never really been a big football school and never really made an impact in their division. So I think they're going to be finishing in dead last.
They're definitely an educational / baseball school, no doubt.
Exactly.
Hey, but don't forget, Clark Lee said at SEC Media Day, he knows that one day Vanderbilt football will be the best program in the nation. I might be 6 feet under by the time that happens, but
oh yeah, Texas might be back.
Confidence. Yeah,
Texas might be back before that happens. Yeah.
Well, I got Vanderbilt also finishing 7th in the East, but you showed them a little bit more mercy than I did. I got them going 1-11. They aren't winning a single conference game. I got them beating Elon, the FCS team from North Carolina, week 2, but that's it. I don't see another win on the schedule. I do think they're going to lose to the MAC team, the Northern Illinois Huskies. I think they're going to lose to Hawaii. The only thing, I mean, I don't know if you heard about this, but Sam Hartman, quarterback for Wake Forest, out with an injury, might be out for the whole season. Or it's a non-football related issue. We're not exactly sure what it is.
I think.
Yeah, I think it might be a mental illness or something. But I still think that Wake Forest could put a Wildcat quarterback in there and probably still beat Vandy. So
I agree.
Yeah,
I think they'll beat Vandy with or without him. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you go ahead and tell me who you got finishing 6th.
So in 6th place, I have Missouri with the same record as Vanderbilt. With a 3-9 record, they're going to lose to Kansas State. They're going to lose to Auburn, Florida, Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, and Georgia. See, I just don't see Missouri being better than they normally are this year. Like I mean, I know they got that number one wide receiver, but
Yeah, Luther and
I just,
Burton.
yeah, I just don't see how he can make an impact when there's nobody good throwing him the ball.
Yeah, nobody
Yeah.
good throwing the ball. Not a good defense out there to keep the other team from scoring. Not really an offensive line. I mean, it's just hard to recruit when you're in Missouri because, like, what you got out there, like corn, like
Yeah.
there's not.
Yeah.
I'm shocked Luther and Burton decided to go to Missouri over Alabama and Ohio State. But hey, man, you do you, and you wanted to play as a freshman immediately, so I would not be surprised if he's a transfer here soon to like USC or Texas. But
Yeah.
I also have Missouri finishing sixth. I'm going 4-8, 1-7 in conference. Their one conference win coming to against Vanderbilt. But I mean, I think they'll win. They'll beat Vandy. They'll beat New Mexico State, Louisiana Tech, and Abilene Christian. But they'll lose to Kansas State. But I mean, those are the only. There's only 4 games I have them winning. I do have them going 4-8 and only winning that one conference game, coming in sixth.
I think. See, I'm right there with you, but I think Missouri pulls out. Sorry, I think Vandy pulls out a win against Missouri. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But and then in fifth place, I have finishing is Florida with a 6-6 record. They're gonna lose to Kentucky, Tennessee, LSU, A&M, Georgia, and South Carolina. I just
Mhm.
don't think. I just don't see them being any good this year.
Yeah.
Well, more like above average team. Like I don't really see him being anything like more than mediocre. So I can see him winning 6 games, but I can't see him winning any more than that.
Yeah. Coming in fifth, I got the Florida Gators as well. I got their losses coming against Utah, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas A&M, and South Carolina. I do think South Carolina goes into the swamp and beats Florida, but I do have Florida end up this season beating Florida State, if that means anything at this point. I mean, maybe in the 90s, but not anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't. 2.5 points. Utah's favored by right now. Last I checked against Florida. I know a lot of money will be on the Utes that game. Kind of. I mean, I can see if Florida could win. I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
think
Billy
it'll happen
Napier's
either.
got a long way to go. He's got to do a lot of recruiting, and he's gonna have to do a lot of stuff because I mean that team's morale is just so down after last year. I mean, you could tell
Oh
once
yeah,
Florida
absolutely.
lost about halfway through the year, they just gave up. And Dan Mullen lost that team, and I mean that was just a disaster to watch
Yeah.
that. So I mean, they gave up what was it, 56 points to Samford out of the
Oh
SEC
yeah.
out of Alabama. I
Yeah.
mean, and then
I
we're
remember
jumping
that
up and
now.
down after they won. Like, come on, bro, you just gave up 56 points to
To
Samford.
Samford, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So I
not
don't
good.
have Florida. Yeah,
Yeah,
I do not have Florida doing too well. This is definitely going to be a down year, but I do think they will be bowl eligible and go 6-6.
I agree. So in fourth place, I have South Carolina finishing with a 7-5 record. I have them losing to Arkansas, Kentucky, A&M, Tennessee, and then at the end of the year, I think Clemson sneaks out a win against them. I just
Oh,
don't see I just don't see South Carolina, sorry, they sneak out a win against Clemson. I just don't see Clemson winning that game after
wow.
what I saw from DJ last year. I just don't think he's going to be good this year. So, but we should see. They're going to finish 7-5. Spencer Rattler has a lot of pressure on him right now to perform well, and I feel like if he doesn't perform well, South Carolina fans are going to treat him just like Oklahoma fans did.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm shocked. I'm still shocked you have Clemson losing to South Carolina. I mean, South Carolina, was it 2011, 12, 13 maybe? The last time they beat Clemson has been a while. And
Yeah,
we'll talk more about Clemson and DJ and the ACC episode we do, but wow, that shocks me. But
yeah,
Spencer Radler, I don't think he's bad. I don't think I think he was definitely overhyped and he let that hype get to his head and he got a little too cocky. But I think him going to Columbia, South Carolina, pairing with the old coach that he liked in Shane Beamer, And, bringing a receiver, I forget his name, small white dude from Oklahoma. He's at South Carolina now as well. I think it's all going to be good for him. I don't think he'll ever perform to the level that we thought he would coming out of high school. Uh, but I mean, it was hard. I mean, he pooped the bed. There's no other way to say it. I
Yeah.
mean, you had Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, Baker Mayfield all in front of you, and you have to live up to that expectation. I mean, it is hard, but he didn't
Yeah.
even come close to it at any point in time.
Absolutely
So,
not.
but
Absolutely not.
I also have South Carolina finishing fourth, but I have them going 6-6. I think all of the same losses, except you had the Clemson loss. I do think Clemson will win that game. I do think it'll be maybe a little bit closer of a game this year, but
I think it could go either way, honestly.
I got their losses coming against Arkansas, Kentucky, Georgia, Texas A&M, Tennessee, and Clemson. But yeah, that's about all I gotta say for the Gamecocks. I mean, the only other thing I can add is like I think this team's going to be improved, but playing in the SEC and playing this very tough schedule you got. I mean, you drew A&M out of the West and Arkansas out of the West. I mean, those are two terrible draws in the same year. It's going to be hard, but I do think they will be improved, even though their record may not show it. But I do have the Gamecocks going 6-6 and finishing fourth in the SEC East.
Because I mean, A&M and Arkansas are both well-rounded teams. Like you just
Absolutely.
saw the class that A&M brought in. They have
Yeah.
the number one recruiting class in the history of college football. And then you have Arkansas, who I think is a dark horse, and I think is going to be absolutely phenomenal this year, and is going to be a
Yeah.
huge sleeper, and they're going to beat teams that people don't expect them to beat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think Sam Pittman's going to put them on the map.
I like that take.
Yeah.
I do. All right,
So,
buddy. Who you got finishing third?
Third in the East, I have Tennessee finishing with a 9-3 record. They're going to lose to Georgia, they're going to lose to Kentucky, and they're going to lose to Bama. I think Tennessee has potential to beat Georgia, and I also think they have potential to beat Kentucky. But I think Kentucky and Georgia are just two more well-rounded teams, and I think it's going to be tough for Tennessee to sneak a win out of those two games. Yeah.
Yeah. So I also have the Vols finishing fourth. I mean, pardon me, third. But I have them going 8-4, 4-4 in conference. I think they start off the year, these first four games, Ball State, at Pitt, Akron, and Florida, undefeated. I think the only team that's going to give them any trouble might be Pitt. I don't even think Florida's really going to challenge them that much.
Absolutely not. Yeah, I think Pitt would be the only
But
one out of those four that
I
would give them a run
really,
for their money.
yeah, absolutely. But the only thing, Pitt, yes, people talk about, well, they lost Kenny Pickett, the only quarterback drafted in the first round. Well, people tend to forget that Jordan Addison, the guy that was the number one target for Kenny Pickett at Pitt, just transferred to USC, and he won the Biletnikoff Award last year, which is the best wide receiver award in the nation for college football, and he beat Jameson Williams for that. Now, whether we as fans vote on that or actual writers and voters, that's a totally different story. But he did win the award, and he is very good. And I think that's going to hurt, Pitt just as much as losing Kenny Pickett.
Absolutely.
So I got the Vols going 4-0 to start the season. Then they have I think, that's not a bad bye week. I probably would have waited till after the LSU game and in between LSU and Alabama, but they're going to be on top of a mountain. And I think Brian Kelly is going to come out and he's going to prove that he can beat a good team in the SEC. And I think LSU will beat Tennessee and give them their first loss. And they're going to fall right off that mountain. And because they're going to be thinking they're unbeatable, we're going to win the East. You know how the Voltards are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think they're going to lose to LSU. And then they're going to lose the third Saturday in October against Alabama. Then they'll come back and they'll beat the UT Martin Skyhawks and the FCS school. And I think this is where Kentucky and Georgia, they both recruit better than Tennessee. Maybe not like right now. Tennessee's got a very good recruiting class coming in, so do not sleep on their future.
Absolutely.
But their defense, this is where defense comes to win games, and especially in the SEC. And depth matters, and those are two things that Tennessee still lacks. That offense, electric. I have yes, you can put up as many points you want, But when you're playing against SEC defenses, late in October, early November, and you don't have the depth and you don't have necessarily the experience you want, I think it's going to come back to bite them. They're going to lose back-to-back to Kentucky and Georgia, but then I think they finish strong, beat Missouri, South Carolina, Vandy, and they're going to finish 8-4, 4-4 in the conference, and third in the SEC East, which I think is a very good record for Tennessee, considering 2 years ago with Jeremy Pruitt, they were a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
I think this is improvement. I think Josh Heupel's got him on the right track. Just don't be giving recruits McDonald's bags full of cash, and you'll be good. But
Yeah,
I
agree.
But I definitely think this is a very big improvement from considering where they were 2 years ago, and I would not be surprised if they finished 18th, 20th, 25th in the country, somewhere around that range at the end of the year. And hopefully they don't get screwed out of a bowl game against Purdue again.
Yeah, I agree. I think Tennessee is definitely on the come up for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. So in second in the East, I hate to do this, but I think Georgia's going to finish second in the East. I think they're going to lose to I think they're going to lose to Kentucky. And I think that's going to be their only loss of the season. They're going to go 10-1. They're only going to lose to Kentucky. And with that being said, it only leaves Kentucky left, and I think Kentucky is going to have a perfect 12-0 season.
Wow, you are the only person I've heard say that.
I'm putting my nuts on the table, and that is my hot take for the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. But I was not expecting that at all.
No. I don't know. I just think Kentucky's got it because, they play in Lexington. So
yeah,
I think Kentucky's going to beat Georgia this year. If it was in Athens, I'd say Georgia would win, but I think Kentucky's got them beat this year.
Well, pardon me. Well, I got Kentucky finishing second in the East, and I have them going 10-2.
Okay. Who you got them losing to?
I got them losing to Tennessee, and I have them losing to who's the other team I wrote down? I'll just go through their schedule real quick. Miami of Ohio, I got them winning. Florida, Youngstown State, Northern Illinois, at Ole Miss. I have that as a win, I believe. South Carolina, Mississippi State. I have them losing at Tennessee and Neyland. Beat Missouri, Vandy. I do have them beating Georgia as well. Yep. Louisville. I have them losing at Ole Miss. That's what I have written down. I do have them losing.
I can see that.
I have them losing at Ole Miss on October 1st. You have definitely some warm-up games, and I do think Ole Miss, I think by, what is that, week 5? Yeah, week 5, I think they'll have it figured out. I think they'll be okay. But, yeah, I have Kentucky going 10-2, finishing 6-2 in conference. And, I'm still shocked at the fact that you have them beating Georgia. Or it's the fact they're going 12-0 that shocks me more than anything else.
But I can definitely see Jackson Dart and Lane Kiffin knocking them down, for sure. Since it's in Ole Miss, I can definitely see that happening. So
yeah,
I'm on board.
Bob Stoops, great recruiter. He has brought that Kentucky program up from
the ground up.
And they are not necessarily all the way a basketball school anymore. Yes, that's what they're historically known for, but they're good. But I do think
the season they had last year. They had a great season last year.
I do think they'll beat Georgia because I think I'll just go ahead and get into it. I have Georgia going 11-1, losing to Kentucky, and 7-1 in conference, going to Atlanta to play for the SEC championship game. But, that's just a Georgia thing to do, if I do say so myself, to blow it right at the end of the season. And
Georgia always has that one loss every year.
Yeah, except for last year. They had already locked that up in the regular season, but that was the first time in a while. Anyways, I think by the time they play Kentucky, so they're going to go through, I think, Oregon. I really don't think Oregon's going to be that big of a deal. And don't even get me started on the neutral site game. I don't know why this game's not being played in Athens. What's the point in putting it in Atlanta? If you're going to play a neutral site game between these two, put it in between the middle of them. But that's neither here or there. South Carolina, definitely a trap game. 12 o'clock Eastern. Uh, I mean, I've been to a Georgia South Carolina game just 2 years ago in Georgia at 12 o'clock p.m. and South Carolina having no business. They were a 2 or 3 win team. I think Georgia's ranked top five
Yeah.
and took a fat L right there in
Rodrigo
Kentucky.
Blankenship missed the game-winning field goal.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's another trap little watch out game. And then I really don't see Georgia getting challenged again until they play Tennessee at home. But I
Yeah.
still think, like I said earlier, depth, defense, they'll find a way to win. A nice little trap game, though. This is the definition of a trap game. A team that's really not that good, but is decent, stuck in between two really good teams. Mississippi State, right in between Tennessee and Kentucky. I'd really watch out. I mean, their fans always show up bringing those stupid cowbells, and Mike Leach is always going to pull some tricks out of his bags. And we'll get to that later. I do have the Mississippi State Bulldogs beating a few teams they're probably not supposed to, but I do have them Georgia losing that game to Kentucky, and they will whoop the crap out of Georgia Tech like they do every single year. And I
Absolutely.
have them winning the SEC East, going 11-1, and yeah, 7-1 in conference, and going on to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium to play. Well, I guess y'all find out in a second. But spoiler alert: Alabama.
Yeah. Absolutely. I just don't see who else you could have in there
Yeah.
other than Alabama, because I mean that defense for Alabama this year is going to be absolutely insane.
Oh
I
yeah, for
can't
sure.
wait to see that either. So in the West, I have finishing dead last Mississippi State. I know Hunter may not agree with me, but I have them finishing 3-9, losing to Arizona, LSU, A&M,
Arizona.
Arkansas. Yeah, I have them losing to Arizona. I just don't think Mississippi State's. I don't know. I just feel like Arizona would pull that one out. And then I have them losing to Arkansas, Kentucky, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, and then I think that's Clemson they play. They play Clemson? Who did they play their last week? Oh, Ole Miss. I'm losing to Ole Miss. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I just don't think that they're after what I saw last year from Mississippi State. I just don't. I don't know. I just don't see them being that well-rounded of a team this year. So I haven't finished in dead last with a 3-9
Okay.
record.
All right. Well, I'll get to them in a second because I do not have them finishing last in the West. I have the Auburn Tigers finishing last in the West. I mean, talk about dumpster fire. This is it. Their offseason, terrible. Everybody leaving. Brian Harson getting, in trouble with, intern rumors and all that jazz. And, they are just all out of proportion. Everybody going into the transfer portal, some people coming back. I mean, they lose Bo Nix. You get Zach Calzada, but Zach Calzada had one game of his life, and I'm still not even sure how that happened. Miracles do happen, people. I still don't know
Yeah,
how he beat
I
Alabama
was
last year.
I was at that game and I have no idea how he did it. He literally threw a pass while getting hit in the knee. I don't even remember who he threw it to, but and then he came back on the field and then he won it for him. It was just like
Yeah,
so he basically beat Alabama on one leg.
yeah. I mean,
Is
it's
how I
that.
like to see it.
Yeah, that's crazy, but
Yeah.
I still am not convinced that he's very good.
No.
So with all that being said, I just don't. I don't even know if Brian Harsin will be the coach of Auburn by the time they're playing Alabama this year. I don't think they want him there. The boosters don't want him. They want him out, and It's just a messed up situation altogether. With that being said, I do have them finishing last, going 5-7, 2-6 in conference. Let me run through their schedule real quick. I got them being Mercer and San Jose State to start the year. Two warm up games before Penn State comes in there and gets a huge win in Auburn, which is very hard to do. Auburn, I don't care how bad they are, their fans show up, and that is a very, very, very tough place to play. I do have them beating Missouri in conference, and I have them taking an L to LSU, an L to Georgia, an L to Ole Miss, coming off a bye week. Okay, maybe we'll get a win. And they're going to upset Arkansas in Jordan Hare. Arkansas is going to be riding high, and this is going to be a win that nobody's going to see coming. This is just college football. I do have Arkansas dropping this game. I think their schedule is going to catch up to them. We'll get to them in a minute. But I do see Auburn beating Arkansas, getting the upset. I do have them losing at Mississippi State. Um, yeah, they're going to be riding high off that win, and Will Rogers and Mike Leach are going to come out there and throw the ball 200 times and find a way to win. I got them losing to Texas A&M. Not a whole lot to say there. I do think they'll beat Western Kentucky. And then just like, well, I don't care how good this team is and how bad the other team is. Auburn, Alabama is always a good game. The Iron Bowl is such a classic, top 3 rivalry in my opinion. But I do have the Tide rolling right on over Auburn. And I would not be surprised if Brian Harsin is not the coach after this season for the Tigers. But yeah, I have them finishing 5-7, going 2-6, finishing 7th in the SEC West.
All right. Yeah, I can see that happening. So I have finishing in 6th in the West. LSU with a 6-6 record. I think they're going to lose to Tennessee. I think they're going to lose to Florida. I think they're going to lose to Ole Miss, Bama, Arkansas, and A&M. I know Brian Kelly's there, and I know Brian Kelly doesn't like to lose games, but I just don't see the the playmakers that they have on that team that could get them over an average winning season. If you
Yeah,
know,
I can see that. I mean, they're definitely going to be. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
Say okay. Well, all I was going to say was they're definitely going to be. There's no real certainty. There's a lot of coin flip games for the Tigers this year, but I'll get to them in a second because I don't have them coming in 6th. I have the Mississippi State Bulldogs coming in 6th in the West, finishing 6-6, bowl eligible, 3-5 in conference. So I have them losing to Memphis week 1. I don't know if you remember this game from last year, but there was a play on that punt, and the ref thought he was, or the Mississippi State team thought he was down, and some other guy in Memphis picked up the punt and ran it to the house, scored the game-winning touchdown. I think Memphis is a pretty good group of 5 team, and I think Mississippi State's going to start out. They're going to lose to some teams they're not supposed to lose to, and they're going to beat some teams, and we'll get to that in a second. If you thought the Arkansas one was hot, you just sold your horses.
I'm waiting to hear it.
Maybe not. Maybe I don't have them losing. Okay. Anyways, Arizona is one of the worst Power 5 teams out there. They are on Vandy level bad. So the fact that you have them losing that game shocks me. But I have them picking up the win they're playing in Tucson, Arizona. I have them losing to LSU. I have them beating Bowling Green. I have them beating the Texas A&M Aggies October 1st. Yes.
Wow.
I just think the West is so packed, and there's just going to be weeks where, like, there's teams like Mississippi State and, like, teams like Auburn who are just – they're in the SEC. They're good. They got talent, but they're just losing, and then they're going to sneak up in the middle of a sandwich game like I mentioned earlier. So for this one, when I pull up Texas A&M schedule, I'll show you the record. I'll show you what it is. But I do have them being Texas A&M. I have them losing to Arkansas, lose to Kentucky, lose to Alabama. I got them beating Auburn. I got them losing to Georgia. I have them beating the Eastern Tennessee State University Buccaneers. And I have them beating the Ole Miss Rebels to end the year. And I think Mike Leach will win an Egg Bowl this year in one of the most entertaining rivalries between Kiffin and Leach. I mean, that's just comedy on its own. But, yeah, like I said, there's games on here. I mean, they're just going to be a team that is going to ruin, what could be, progress build season. Or, I mean, for A&M, a lot of people are very high on them. I'm not as high as I think some people are, but, like, A&M has no business losing to Mississippi State, but it's just going to be one of those games where you slip up, and that's just college football. So I do have Mississippi State Bulldogs going 6-6 and finishing 3-5 in conference play and 6 in the SEC West.
I can see that happening. I can definitely see that happening. So in the West and 5th, I have Auburn finishing 5th with a 7-5 record, losing to Penn State, Georgia, Ole Miss. Whoa, I got lost. Yeah, Auburn I have with a sorry, five. Whoa, no, I did that backwards. So I have them actually finishing 6th in the West, not 5th,
Okay.
with a 5-7 record,
Okay.
losing to Penn State, Georgia, Ole Miss, A&M, Bama, LSU, and Arkansas. I just don't think Zach Calzada is going to be that guy for them, and I
Yeah,
just
for
don't,
sure.
because especially with everything that has happened this offseason with the head coach, I don't know. I just don't think Auburn is going to be as good as they were last year, and I just don't think that they're going to be average at all. Like I think they're going to be a subpar team for sure.
Okay. Well, go ahead and tell me who you got finishing 5th.
So 5th, I have LSU finishing
Oh,
5th.
okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So you just flipped
Yeah, I just flip flopped them.
Auburn.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I have LSU finishing 5th as well. And this is going to shock a lot of people, but this can talk about a seesaw of a season. Not really. It's going to be one sided and then one side the other way. I have LSU starting off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait, what was it? 8? No? Hold up. Yeah.
No
I got
way.
LSU starting off, but there's no way I did that right because I only have them winning 7 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I have them starting off 6-0. Pardon me.
Yeah.
I have them starting off 6-0, beating Florida State, beating Southern, beating Mississippi State, beating New Mexico, beating Auburn in Auburn. Big win for Brian Kelly right there. I do have them beating Tennessee, and then I think they drop a game in the swamp to Florida. Brian Kelly's. I think Auburn's going to start off slow, and I think Brian Kelly's going to get tested too. First year head coaches facing off against each other, big rivalry game, especially for SEC fans. I think Brian Kelly takes an L October 15th to Florida. I have them losing to Ole Miss. I have them losing to Alabama. I have them losing to Arkansas, and I have them losing to Texas A&M. But right before A&M, they play the UAB Blazers. I think they win that game.
Yeah.
So they start off strong, and then they just fall off the face of the
Fall
planet.
off the cliff. Yep.
Yeah, but there's definitely some coin flip games in here. I mean, they could beat Florida. They could lose to Auburn. They could lose to Tennessee. They could lose to Florida State. They could lose to Mississippi State. I mean,
Yeah,
they could beat A&M. They can beat Arkansas. I mean, this team is very unpredictable. But I think 7-5, 5-7, 6-6 is probably the best range to put them in right now, right in that mediocre range.
You just don't know what Brian Kelly's going to do. Like
exactly. I mean, nobody really even knows who their quarterback's going to be, and it's not even between 2 people; it's between 3.
Yeah.
Between a true freshman, I forgot his name, Miles Brennan, and then you got Jaden Daniels from Arizona State. He transferred there this year, but nobody really knows what he's going to end up doing. Then you got Keyshawn Boutte. He's pretty good. He's the wide receiver out there. Maybe the best in the conference for sure. But I think 7-5, 6-6, 5-7 is definitely the best range. But I do have them finishing 5th in the West, going 7-5 and 3-5 in conference.
I agree. I'm right there with you. But all right. Now I have in the West finishing in 4th Texas A&M with a 9-3 record, losing to Bama, Arkansas, and Ole Miss. I think that this year Jimbo Fisher's got a lot to prove, especially with this recruiting class and all the beef between him and Nick Saban. How Nick Saban said he was paying his players to come and play there, and I think this is the year that Jimbo Fisher kind of has to prove that he's the real deal and that he's meant to be at A&M, because the past couple seasons he's been kind of mediocre above average teams, which isn't Jimbo. Jimbo's won national championship at FSU, and he's got a lot of potential. And I think with this recruiting class that he just brought in, I really do think that it could be something special, or it could just blow up in his face. So,
oh yeah. Well, I mean, as a Georgia fan, 1980 hurt, and I mean, I wasn't even around for the first 23 years of here in 1980. But 1939 seems a lot worse than 1980, if you ask me.
Yeah,
they ain't won a national championship since World War II, folks. That's pretty rough.
That is
But
rough.
Jimbo is trying to turn it around. I don't care if you use it NIL or not. It's part of the rules. Uh, and I mean, until they crack down on it, I really don't see anything wrong with it. They're using it to their advantage. They're going to be
I
good in a
agree.
few years, but I don't think this is the year where they really break through. Maybe
Yeah.
next year or maybe the year after that, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
I also have A&M finishing fourth in the West. I have them going 9-3, 5-3 in conference. They're going to beat Sam Houston. They'll beat App State. I think they'll beat the Hurricanes of Miami. I got them beating Arkansas. I have them beating Arkansas week 4. They're going to get their revenge. And so this is where that trap game is what I was telling you about. So sandwiched in between. So you got Arkansas, and then you got Mississippi State, then you got Alabama. So you got 2 really good teams, and sandwiched
They're not gonna.
right in between them is a team that has no business beating you, and you're playing at Mississippi State. I'm taking the Bulldogs to get the upset right there, and I think they lose back-to-back weeks. I think they're losing to Bama as well, and they got a bye week. I think they'll beat South Carolina. They haven't lost to South Carolina yet since they've joined the conference, I believe. And then I have them losing to Ole Miss the following week. And those are the 3 losses I have them taken. And I think they finish out against Florida, Auburn, UMass, and LSU. 4 big wins. They're going to go 9-3, finish 5-3 in the conference. I think this is definitely going to be a growing year, and this is going to be like you're going to see spurts, and you're going to be like, this team's going to be good here soon. You just don't know what it's going to be. So, but definitely not a bad team. But after Jimbo and Saban's beef this summer, I would not be surprised if Alabama's winning that game about 49-12 going into half.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I would not be surprised. But I'm right there with you with the Mississippi State upset because I think A&M's going to be so focused on Arkansas and Bama, they're going to forget about Mississippi. They're just going to be like, it's Mississippi State. We don't got to worry about them. But then they're going to game day rolls around and they go out on the field and Mississippi State's like, what's up? Like, and they're showing that they should have paid attention to them and then they upset them. Like, I can definitely see that happening for sure. Yeah. So I have finishing third in the West, Ole Miss, losing to Kentucky, Bama, and Arkansas. I think Jackson Dart has a very, very, very good year with Lane Kiffin, and Lane Kiffin is going to use him just like he used Matt Corral. But I don't see Ole Miss winning more than 9 games. So
yeah. I also have Ole Miss finishing third in the West. Going 9-3, finishing 5-3 in conference. It's kind of like a 3A, 3B, but I guess they would finish third because I have them and A&M having the same record. But since they beat A&M head-to-head, that's how they finished ahead of them on my rankings. I put up the wrong schedule. But Ole Miss, I don't know if you've heard this, Jance. I know you've been talking a lot about Jackson Dart, but apparently he might not even start week 1. Apparently he's not even winning the job right now.
Wow.
Yeah, Luke Ottmeyer. He learned under Matt Corral for a year or 2, I reckon, and he's been there with Lane. He's currently the projected starter for Ole Miss.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Apparently Jackson Dart had a very soft spring compared to what they thought he was going to be. I'm not saying that he won't play at some point this year, and I'm not saying he ain't going to be good. But, yeah, just a heads up. I know you've been talking a lot about Jackson Dart. I don't want you to get your hopes up too much. And I'm not – I mean, he could win the starting job here in the next 3 weeks. Who knows?
Yeah.
But as of right now, what I'm hearing is Luke Ottmeyer will be a starting quarterback for Rebs this year. So I have them going 9-3, 5-3 in conference. They're going to start out. They're beating everybody in their non-con. They're going 4-0. Troy, Central Arkansas, at Georgia Tech, and Tulsa. Those are 4 wins. I have them beating Kentucky week 5, beating Vandy week 6, beating Auburn week 7, beating LSU week 8. And I have them do I have them dropping this game? No. Beating Texas A&M week 9. They're going to start out 9-0. And then I think they drop their last 3 games to Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi State. Yeah. I mean, it's Bama.
Yeah, I forgot you had Mississippi State beating them.
Yeah, I got Bama, and I think Arkansas at Arkansas. I mean, that is starting. I couldn't really tell. And then last year, watching Arkansas beat Texas in Arkansas and seeing that atmosphere, it's legit, man.
Yeah.
And
I have a couple of friends that go to Arkansas, and they said that the student section in the crowd was just insane
Oh
for the
yeah,
UT game. So I can only
I would
imagine what it's
not
going
be
to be like for the Ole
surprised if
Miss
it's the
game.
same way come when they play Alabama
Yeah,
in week 3
yeah,
or whatever it is. Um, and I think just after those 2 losses, the team's going to be gassed. And I think Mississippi State, with those little spark wins I had, they're going to finish the season out winning the Egg Bowl. But definitely not a bad season for Ole Miss. Definitely like a, I don't even know what the Capital One Bowl is. That still a thing? They have so many of them
yeah,
nowadays. But
yeah,
I have them going 9-3, 5-3 in conference. They're going to be good. I mean, defense just has to get better. Offensive
yeah. I
line's pretty
agree.
good. They got a really good running back with Zach Evans. That was a huge pickup from TCU last year. He was really good at TCU last year. But I do think losing Matt Corral is going to hurt him a lot. So
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. But all right, so moving on to number 2 and number 1. In second, I have Arkansas finishing 11-1. I
wow,
think I think that they beat Bama this
wow,
year. I think that they upset Bama this year because I don't know. I just feel like Arkansas's got it in them to beat them this year.
yeah.
And isn't that's a sandwich game, isn't it?
Uh,
For
I don't.
Bama,
I think it
Arkansas's
is
a
for
sandwich
Bama.
game.
I think
Yeah,
it. Well, I don't know if it's a sandwich game, but I think they play Texas right before they play Arkansas
yeah, yeah.
or
And I
soon. I don't know.
I,
It's something like that.
I told you a couple months ago that I think Arkansas upsets Bama because Bama's going to be so focused on Texas, but
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. And then in first place, I have Bama finishing with an 11-1 record, losing to Arkansas. But in reality, they probably won't lose.
They probably won't, but it is very hard to go undefeated. Nick Saban, if you really look at it, I don't know if he really has that many undefeated regular seasons with Alabama. Now, he has plenty of titles, but I
Oh
don't
yeah,
even know how many of those titles were undefeated seasons. I
yeah.
can't remember off the top of my head, but there is a stat. Um, yeah, I can't think off the top of my head. Well, number 2, spoiler alert, I got Arkansas and then Alabama at number 1. I have Arkansas going 10-2, finishing 6-2 on the year. Cincinnati, don't sleep on them. I know they made the playoff. I also know they lost a lot of talent to the NFL draft, which is kudos to them because I mean, not a big school, developed a lot of talent, losing a lot, but I think that stadium's going to be rocking. I think the Arkansas faithful know they got a really good team coming this year. I do have them beating Cincinnati. I have them beating South Carolina, Missouri State. I do have them taking an L to Texas A&M. Um,
I could see that happening
And I think that's
again
going to
for
fuel their
revenge.
fire
Yeah.
because I wasn't the only one on this podcast apparently to have them beat Alabama. That was the one loss I did have Alabama taken
Yeah.
for the same reasons we were talking about with the whole Texas thing. Um, and then I have them beating Mississippi State, beating BYU, take a bye week, and I have them losing at Jordan Hare to Auburn, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
I just see, I don't know. I
That's
just
a
got a
hot take.
feeling it's a college football game. It's weird because I kind of forgot to take into account they got a bye week the week before, but I do think since it's at Auburn and they just played a tough stretch of games, and I know they have a bye week, but still, something sketchy tells me that Arkansas might drop this game.
Yeah. I can
Um,
see it.
and then I have them finishing out the year beating Liberty, LSU, Ole Miss, and Missouri, and that is a really good season for them. 10-2, 6-2. I mean, a few years ago, before Sam Pittman got there, I don't even know how many conference games they won. It was not a lot at all.
Not a lot at all.
I think
At
I
all.
can count on one hand.
Yeah.
With I think it was with Brett Bielema, I think was his name. Like they were
I
not
don't
very
remember,
good.
but that was when I was in that was when I lived in Georgia.
Oh yeah,
They used to be terrible, and then I moved away, and then they started getting good, and it was like,
yeah.
what the heck? But all right, so let's move on to the
Oh,
SEC championship.
hold up. I gotta go over Bama's schedule real quick.
Oh, okay, go
I
ahead.
do. I mean, this isn't gonna take a lot of doing.
Yeah,
Um, but I do have Alabama going 11-1. Okay, so we were kind of wrong. They have 2 weeks in between before they play at Arkansas. But right after Arkansas, they play A&M, Tennessee, and Mississippi State. So I don't know. I just want to choose a game for
Yeah.
Alabama to lose because it's fun. And it's college football, and I mean, I do think they'll end up losing a game, whether it's that one or
Shoot, maybe even no.
I
No,
don't
I'm
know.
not I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. I was gonna say that A&M was gonna beat them, but
No,
I
they're not
I
losing
just
to A&M.
no, not after the beef that happened this
I don't know. I
offseason.
really
Absolutely not.
they realistically they're finishing first, whether it's 12-0 or 11-1. If they do lose a
Yeah.
game, it will be at Arkansas, maybe at Texas. I don't see anybody beating them at home.
No, I don't see anybody beating them at home either.
Yeah. If anybody's going to beat them at home, I know I'm so down on them and have them finish them last, but it's going to be Auburn. I mean,
Yeah.
Auburn, they find ways to play each other very good, but
Zach Calzada's done it before, so
that's right. I didn't
do it
even think
again.
about it like that. So, quick question. I have a few questions I've written down right here.
What's up?
What team do you think is taking the biggest step back?
The biggest step back?
Yeah.
Man,
It's a tough one.
that is a tough one. I think it's got to be Florida.
That's what I was going to say as well. It's got to be
I think
Florida.
It's got to be Florida.
I think it's Florida as well.
Yeah.
They're just historically so good. They're usually top 3, usually top 2 finishing in the SEC. But now they might. I mean, I would not be surprised if they don't even make it to a bowl game this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either.
And then what team do you think is taking a step forward, the biggest step forward?
I think the team that's taking the biggest step forward, it has to be Arkansas, man. I think it's got to be Arkansas. I think Sam Pittman is a great coach for them, and he's doing a great job at Arkansas, and I just think he's moving in the right direction, and he's got another year with his recruits, and I don't know, I just think they got a chance to do something big this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do as well. I also have Arkansas. I mean, like we said, they were in the toilet, not doing anything, and I mean, the amount of progress made by them in Tennessee in such a short amount of time, and I mean, that's the power of when you have a really good recruiter who does it right, and now you have NIL, and I know those two markets may not be the highest, but I mean, they are getting the most out of that talent. Tennessee more offensive-wise, but Arkansas as a whole, they are getting the absolute most out of what they bring in, and I think KJ Jefferson has the potential to be a top 5 quarterback this year in all college football.
Yeah. I could definitely see that happening.
Heisman sleeper, hot take.
That is a steaming take.
Yeah, because they replaced Treylon Burks, who was a first-round draft pick to the Titans.
Tennessee Titans.
He was really good. They replaced him with Jaden Hazelwood, who was a recruit he's from Georgia, and he went to Oklahoma, played for Lincoln Riley. He was good, but he was just overshadowed, and I think he's going to shine and be I'm not going to say he's going to be the next Treylon Burks, but he's going to be the closest thing they got to it, and I think he's going to be utilized very well.
I think so too.
So what is the biggest dark horse I guess Kentucky for you.
Yeah, Kentucky.
The biggest dark horse.
I don't know. Kentucky just gives me because after the season they had last year, bro, I just think they up. I mean, because it kills me to say that they upset Georgia, but I really do think they have a shot.
I think they do too, and I do think Georgia will lose that game, but I think they'd already have the East locked up. But
in the West, I could definitely see LSU for sure with Brian Kelly because Brian Kelly doesn't like to lose, and I don't know.
So this is where it's kind of hard what to label a dark horse and what's not. I mean, A&M, I think in the preseason poll is ranked top 10, top 15. So are they really considered a dark horse?
No.
And that USA Today poll they just came out with, I could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure they were ranked top 15, top 10. So I really can't really consider them that. Arkansas is highly touted down here. I don't even think if they were ranked, it was in the 20s. So I don't. If you want to call them a dark horse, you can.
Yeah, I'm gonna call
them. But mine would be Ole Miss.
Okay.
Lane Train. I just think the players really like him and they buy into what he's saying, and he's gonna find a way. Get your popcorn ready and go get beat by Saban by 4 touchdowns or whatever it was.
Yeah.
If I had to choose, I guess Arkansas or Ole Miss, but a true dark horse would be Ole Miss. In the East, Tennessee, no doubt. would be mine, because they could pull a Big 12 and just put up 60 points a game and find a way to win and give up another 50. But
yeah.
So those are two.
I respect those.
My two dark
those,
horses
for sure.
For sure.
I thought you were gonna say something like Mississippi State, because
no, I'm not gonna
today.
be that bold on them.
Yeah.
No. So, all right. Well, let's talk about the SEC championship game. So you got Kentucky.
I got Kentucky playing Bama, and I wouldn't even say it was close, man. Like, I really do think Bama just beats the brakes off
of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go ahead and ask you this question. I know we're going to focus on the playoff the week before the season starts, so in 2 weeks. So how many SEC teams do you got making the college football playoff? Because if you have Georgia, you have Georgia at 11-1. I don't want to hear your full playoff, but I just want to hear how many teams you got. So you
I have two SEC teams. I got Bama, and then I have Georgia in there. I think Georgia gets in there because Kentucky loses, so it puts them at a 11-1 record. Yeah, they'd be 12-1, and then Georgia would get in. Because they'd be the 5th seed.
Wow. I don't know. I think it's kind of weird how you strategized it, because I do think the playoff committee takes head-to-head wins very seriously. So I think that Kentucky would sneak in. Maybe not. I mean, maybe they wouldn't. Maybe you could just tell by the eye test and whatnot that Georgia was better or whatnot. So anything's possible. So
yeah, I think anything can happen.
So I got Alabama versus Georgia. And
you got Alabama versus Georgia again.
Yeah, I don't see how it really goes any other way, if I'm being completely honest with you. But
I get that.
And Alabama's going to win. As much as it pains me to say, this is definitely a step back for Georgia and a step forward for Alabama. And even though I think I'm going to be the basic Georgia fan, I really don't think Stetson Bennett's. He had a really good defense around him last year, and he made plays when he needed to, and he, especially in that second half, besides that little intentional grounding fumble.
Oh my God, yeah. I was watching the replay of the game today, and I was just like, I don't know how they called that a fumble. His arm was moving forward. It's like the tuck rule with Tom Brady.
Yeah. But, he's not going to beat Alabama again.
No, absolutely
he doesn't have the defense to back him up. Unless that Georgia offense, like we were talking about at the beginning of this episode, is just absolutely exploding, which I do not see happening. And if they just control no, I'm not even going to waste my time. Alabama's going to win. They'll be the 1 seed in the playoff at 12-1, maybe a 2 seed. And Georgia will go to the Sugar Bowl and play a Big 12 team.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Watch it be Baylor again. It'll probably be Baylor again.
Well, I don't know if the Sugar Bowl's one of the playoff games, but they'll go to a New Year's Six bowl game. And if
for sure.
The Sugar Bowl's not one, then that's where they'll probably end up at. So
yeah. Well, all right, buddy.
Yeah, man, that was fun.
That's it. That was. We'll catch you next week.
Any last comments, concerns, anything like that?
No, I don't think so. You got anything you want to add?
No, just thank you for tuning in and giving us a little listen, and appreciate you, boys.
Awesome. Thank y'all. Catch y'all later.
Right. See y'all.
See you, buddy.